Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast with Terri and Amanda, where you'll hear spiritual perspectives, weird mediumship experiences, and try intuitive and trust-building exercises for yourself. Join us every Friday. Like and subscribe to never miss a show, and let's get started.
Welcome and happy Friday. This is going to be our 6th show.
Yay!
And I'm Terri.
I'm Amanda.
And Amanda's going to talk about
what we're talking about today. So today our topic is continuing, with our New Year's theme, which is letting go and bringing in more of what we want. And we're also going to go over one of our last clairs to cover, which is Clairaudience, which is clear hearing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And also talking about bringing in some affirmations, what that looks like, how to come up with them, and then do a small example for you guys.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Before we go to that, last show or the show prior to that, I was talking about ESP cards. And for the life of me, just like in readings, people have moments where you can't remember nothing. Well, I just wanted to say that those ESP cards that you can practice with are called Zener cards.
Zener with a Z?
Yeah. Zener, Zener. Oh, God, I probably spelled it wrong.
It's a good start, though. They're the ones that have like the shapes, the different shapes and stuff on them. But I feel like I've seen those in movies.
Right. You did in Ghostbusters.
Oh my God.
So when we were talking about changing your thoughts and leaving things behind and saying goodbye, some people still want to bring things in, and that's great. You only bring in the positive things that you need. However, you can't just flip a switch on January 1 and say, okay, well, peace out. I'm moving on this way. It's still going to be like your ruts in the road to where you have to practice getting out of it. So we were talking about up until the 3rd week of January that we would go ahead and still try to do exercises of getting us in that mode.
Yeah, I totally agree because it's hard. And like you said, it's not a switch. You can't just go from I'm leaving this behind and actually leave it behind. You got to work at it. And that's why the one thing the affirmations are really good about, because it's reprogramming your mind. And the way it works is the neural programming with your neural links, neural pathways. That's what I mean to say, retraining them. So when you think of a certain subject, it doesn't automatically go to the same thought that you always have. We're always our worst critic, right? And we're telling ourselves negative things a million times a day, even if we don't realize it. And it's just a pattern that we have to break, and it's hard. And so that's why affirmations, they seem kind of corny, honestly, or they can seem corny depending, and it can seem like a waste of time. You're just listening to words, but really it does affect your day-to-day life. And I was telling Terri that I'm just started yesterday, but I'm listening to them every day just for a short period of time, just to see how I feel after a week. And you can easily go on YouTube and just find some affirmations or write your own that are personal to you. I think that's the most powerful. And then recording them in your own voice. And we're going to do an example today. And I know Terri has come up with some personal ones for her focus for this year, which I think is awesome.
Right.
If you want to talk about those at all. Hi guys, this is Amanda. At this point, you have seen me just ask Terri, or heard me ask Terri about her affirmations. We have a bit of technical difficulties right here with Terri's mic, so I'm just jumping in now to lay the groundwork so you know what she's talking about when she comes on in a moment. Terri presents an activity for us to try called the bicycle, where you draw out 2 wheels like the wheels on a bicycle. And on that first wheel, the very center of that wheel where everything is held together is you. And then out from that center, you see all of the spokes going out to the tire. And where the spokes are, you are to write all of your responsibilities of the day, of which there are so many. So sit there and go through your day and write them all out. And then on the next wheel, you write what you have control of. And anyways, I'll let Terri take it from here. I just wanted to make sure you had an understanding because we just kind of come right into the exercise.
Well, I do a little bit, but kind of like I want to talk about the wheels that we were talking about because it's you are the center person. And I use the bicycle wheel and that one that all the gears go into in the middle. That's you. And then there's spokes that come out of it. And each one of those spokes, I want you to draw what your job is in your life, whether you're a mom.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So draw a circle like a wheel on a bike.
On a bicycle. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then, you know, the big one, all the spokes tie into the middle in the middle. That's you.
I see.
And each spoke, you could draw your own spokes. Don't draw 50 spokes. Just draw them as you're talking in your head about it. I am a mom. I go to the grocery store. I take care of the bills. Oh, I have a daytime job. I got to pick up the dog poop. I got to do A, B.
I'm happy that's not my job. The dog poop is not my job.
I am a friend. I am a medium. I am a counselor. You know what I mean? There's many things. And I would almost guarantee if you wrote all that you thought that you are, all the jobs that you do, and you handed it to your child, adult child, your spouse, your partner, your mother, your father, I don't care. They would probably be able to add spokes
to the jobs that you do that you don't even realize.
Because you're a mom and you're a daughter and you're a son and you're this and you're that, right? And so then you want to look at it and you want to try to see what you don't need to do anymore. How can you delegate it out? How can you lessen? I just don't think if our lives are so crazy and chaotic that we don't have time to find time for ourselves with all that on those spokes.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's a good reflection tool to actually see like, what are you doing every day and why do you, and this is why you can't find time for yourself because you have 1,000 things on your wheel.
Right.
And Terri, before you continue, you're kind of hard to hear.
We're a work in progress for sure. Second part of that, then there is draw a circle like a moon, but you put your little wheel in the middle. And in the middle, that's you. And what is it that's you and what can you control? Right? Example, we couldn't control the weather. So why would you get pissed off because it's raining? You can't control it, right? Or whatever. If you can control your thoughts and the way we respond to something, then it all plays out. So to me, those two, now you have a bicycle and now you're almost ready to ride. Okay. So those were my wheels. When I go back to my affirmations, I didn't want to come up with a huge one or one I had to memorize. I wanted it personal to me. So I thought, well, I should just practice with one thing at a time. Why would I want to overwhelm myself, right?
Yeah.
So my first one was patience. But then I said, oh, I need to focus. So I'm going to patiently focus. Okay. But through that, those two, I think I need to breathe. This isn't something I can handle. So I'm trying to put both of my wheels in play here. Normally I would run to fix X, Y, and Z or whatever and just say, okay, well, that's really not my place. That's something else. Not always, but you don't have to do everything. Does it make sense?
Yeah. And you don't have to fix everything for everyone else. Because that's really hard. Like when you are a natural kind of caregiver, which I know I am, and I think you are too, you want to fix everything for everyone to make them feel comfortable, you know, taken care of, love, make sure they're in a great mood and they're feeling great, but you just can't. And also it's not good for them because they need to know how to be responsible on their own and take care of themselves. Not in every situation, you know, but I think the caring can go too far sometimes, and it depletes us, and
Right.
it takes away responsibility that the other person needs to learn how to do on their own.
Right, because it depletes us. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, not my monkeys. There's my,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
And so the affirmations I'm listening to, I haven't done my own yet. I just am happy to have any thoughts that are really good ones repeated in my head every day. And so my goal is I went on YouTube and I found one that I liked, and I'm just listening to that one right now. And I think it's about 10 minutes, which is totally doable. Just 10 minutes, I can do something and listen to it. And then it's most powerful when you say the words out loud, but of course you can repeat them in your head too. So I wrote just a few down so we can do it together with our audience. Okay, guys, so we're going to do an example of an affirmation. You've probably done them before, but let's all do it together. So I'm going to say a phrase and then give you time to repeat it aloud. And so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to mute Terri so she can say them out loud too. Today is an amazing day. All I need is within me right now. I wake up motivated. I am an unstoppable force of nature. I am confident. I am powerful. I am strong. I am loving. And I am loved. I am living with abundance. I am grateful for everything I have in my life. Today will be a productive day. I am getting healthier every day. Happiness is a choice, and today I choose to be happy. My life is full of potential. I give myself permission to be myself. I always try to see the bright side of things. I treat myself kindly and with compassion. Okay, that was just a little example. And then, I think it's nice to find some that are already written. And then when you resonate with something they say, write that one down and then make your own list and go
Right.
through it, like those are just some that I wrote down, but you would do them like 3 times, go through the whole list 3 times. And,
Well, the I am is very powerful
yeah,
because
I
you're
am.
bringing it right onto you. There is, as you were doing this, it was really nice. And I was like, okay, I have a meditation that I listen to, and it's called I Am Affirmation. And I have it on YouTube
Oh,
Music.
perfect.
It's called Rising Higher Meditation.
Oh, I
And
like it.
it's 1 hour long.
Holy moly.
So I usually put my headphones on and fall asleep to it.
Yeah.
So that one is Rising Higher Meditation. Oh, let me see if it says who it is. And if I don't see who it's from, then I will. It says I Am Affirmations. Reprogram. Sorry, it's very slow. Subconscious
Yeah.
beliefs. It's very slow.
That's okay.
LOAs in parentheses, feet dot Jess, Jess, Shepherd.
Okay. Featuring Jess Shepherd. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
There.
I'll look it up. That sounds fabulous.
It bounced right with what you said. It just
Mhm.
bounced right with what you said.
And, you know, back when I was working, first thing in the morning when I started work, I would like to listen to music during the day while I'm working, but because I used to work back office, so I didn't work with people directly. And so I could listen to whatever. But the first hour, I would just listen to affirmations in the morning. I did it every single day. And I swear it really just changed my outlook and how I thought about myself and how I saw myself and my perspective on life. And I haven't done it in such a long time. It's like one of those practices that you just, I don't know. It's hard to get back into for me for some reason, but I really want to do it because I remember how good I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a simple thing to just listen, you know? And I just said them in my head, obviously, because I had coworkers around me. So, and I would joke too, guys, don't talk to me. I'm doing my affirmations. And they would laugh. They
Oh,
thought
cool.
it was silly.
Well, that's when we talked maybe in one of the other podcasts about ruts in the road. Ruts
Oh,
can be anything. And
yeah.
as in the freeway where the traffic goes every day in the same place, our mind goes in the same place,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
exactly. So it doesn't matter whether we're trying to be a better person. Maybe we're trying to quit drinking. Maybe we're trying to not do drugs. Maybe we're not trying to do X, Y, and Z that aren't good for us, right?
Yeah.
Anything, it can be a rut and you're stuck in it and you got to figure out how to get out of it. And it's just like you bounce out and you're saying, well, I really wish I could get into it. Well, why didn't you? You just said it. So, guess what? You have to start. So, and then if you get too busy in a few days, then apparently you didn't undo some of your spokes, right?
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it sounds like everything that we're talking about all comes in. It sounds like it's massively overwhelming. And the one word that I do not want to say is I can't.
Yeah.
So let's try. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Why not just try? What do you got to lose?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Time. But which I love because you have all these great ideas, but then all these other things that we've talked about all just boom right there. Right?
Yeah. But so that I think it's a good thing for our goal of letting go and moving forward for January, because I feel like it does both.
Right.
It helps move you forward and it helps get rid of like negative things all in one. So I think it's an excellent activity.
In the real world, we all want to be the best that we can be, whether it's but always for ourselves before others. But that's not normally how we work. It's not how we work.
Right. Yeah. It's really hard to do self-care and really put yourself first and really take care of your own needs. I mean, we live in a busy society and we have a lot of expectations on us to get things done. And I don't know, it's really hard. It feels sometimes like wasting time to spend time on yourself.
Well, if you want to be psychic, if you want to be a medium, you want to be intuitive, you want to be a Reiki person, I think in my mind that you can't have all that chaos and be that person.
You can't, because you have to have times of stillness. You have to have times of being quiet,
right,
and listening, and
conditioned from the beginning to the end. You just don't go to a class and I'm a medium and start doing the work, because you're not going to be doing it for the highest purpose unless you're in that good place. And I get it. We're not all perfect, right? We're not all going to be that way, but I was never conditioned. I was never taught. This stuff just all muddles up out of my mouth. It just kind of out of my mouth. So, but to be taught, I think we should be the best that we could be so we could be the best of spirit.
Yeah. And I think the happier we are inside and the more kind we are to ourselves, the more available and open we are to communication from like a higher realm, right? Because they can't even talk to us that easy if we don't have those moments of quietness in our mind, or moments of calm and peace. And maybe even just like connecting with nature. If you have a hard time meditating, or quieting your mind, just go take a walk in the woods. Don't listen to your phone. Just have those moments. That's self-care too.
Right.
And allowing yourself to just kind of rebalance with the natural high energy of nature that feels so good,
Right.
you know, to get you to help with your intuition and just your confidence and trusting yourself too.
Right. Right. Well, while you're out there trying to ground, why don't you put your back next to a tree and just silently vibe with that tree, vibe with the sounds of the leaves or the wind or the birds or the animals. That is taking your hearing out of the norm.
Yeah.
But in some cases, it's like silence is not okay for some people. They don't know silence. You know, my mind goes all the time. So just sit and try to jive with it, and no better way than to be grounded on Mother Earth.
Absolutely. And if you can't go walk in the forest or you're not near something like that, take your shoes off and go stand in the nearest dirt, grass, sand, rocks, etc.
Right.
Even 30 seconds of your feet on the ground is so healing for you and grounding for your entire body. You can look it up, called earthing. It's a literal scientific thing that grounds you, gets rid of like, I can't think of what the words are right now. I should have looked it up. Sorry. Spur of the moment topic we're talking about, but look it up. There's movies on it. It's incredible how much it helps you to ground each day. And if nothing else, as easy as walking out in the grass, even if it's cold. Not saying I did it like when it was snowy or anything.
I just, what did I call them? A front.
Oh, a friant.
A friant last night. I made up a new word and it's called friant. And it's called my clients that have kind of turned into friends that I talk to more or see or whatever. But I know this person from way back before I was even knew I was a medium. But she jumped into the lake yesterday. And I have another friend that does this, and it's very refreshing, and it's like this polar thing.
The Polar Bear Club or whatever, right? Something like that. Yes, I couldn't do it.
It shocks you and it brings you in. Those type of things that just kind of jerk you back into whatever you need. But nature, water.
Yeah. And talking about like going to the forest or listening to the birds and everything, that kind of brings us to our next Claire, which is clairaudience, which is clear hearing.
This is true.
And I have a kind of an extended definition. So clairaudience is the capability of receiving intuitive vocal messages from the world of spirit or your higher self. Messages might include words, names, phrases, unintelligible sounds, even music. The voice can be your own voice or sound just like a completely different voice than yours.
No voice, it's just there.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, we'll talk about signs that you might be clairaudient or just different ways people receive these messages. Also, I think we've all heard like in times of emergency when somebody has heard the sound of a voice telling them to get out or something. I know I've read stories like that before. They just hear this voice, but there's not really anybody there. Anyways, that's what clairaudience is, for an example. And then we're going to go over some ways where you might have some signs that you're clairaudient. Do you want to read any of them, or you want me to read them and then just chime in?
I will chime in after you read them.
Okay. You talk to yourself a lot. Could be you're having a conversation actually with someone and you're completely unaware of that.
Yes, I will be sitting in bed or on the couch or something, and Les is doing something else, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, that would be a great idea. And then he's looking at me like, who are you even talking to? And I wasn't talking to anybody, but it'll be the most random thought. that
Mm.
I'm writing or I'm just watching TV and it's just randomly in there. I don't hear it in another voice during that time, but it's
Yeah.
an idea or to get you to go to do something
Gotcha. Like something being just inserted
in your head.
where you, okay, cool. You easily give advice, not even sure sometimes how the advice is coming out of your mouth. You might actually be getting help or channeling someone that's helping you give advice easily to other people. You know how sometimes you get in a flow and you're not even thinking when you're speaking, it just comes out.
Yes.
If you do that often.
Yeah, I do that. I do that.
Mhm.
I do that, but sometimes it's like actually stuff that's happened in my life. And then as I'm doing it, then when I catch myself doing it, I think, why am I sharing my personal stuff out here? And then it absolutely resonates with them. And then it's like their little aha. And so sometimes it makes me share something that I have experience in that they're going through, but I don't know that they've gone through it. Do you understand that?
And you're like, why am I talking about when I was 17 and got in a car accident, like some random story.
So yeah. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I do.
I don't, it's probably good. 3, you literally hear voices either spoken like in your head or you physically hear them with your ears.
You're my
I've
man.
had that.
Mhm.
I've had it in a creepy situation.
Oh, creepy. How so?
Well, I lived in this house that, in Everett. My parents called it the Freddy Krueger house. It was so creepy. It was when I was younger and I was renting. And like when I moved in, the basement was all black and you could see that they had painted it blood red, the living room, because there was some of the paint that was still like where you can see they painted over it with white. And in the attic, there was this door that went from the attic floor to the attic ceiling and it said red rum. And there was like,
I was going to ask
there were dirty little baby dolls around the attic. It was the creepiest house, but it was the right price for what I needed. Anyways, this house was creepy. And I was up alone and it was really big. And I don't know, some reason that added to the creepiness because you're like in this huge house and it's quiet and it was old. It was built in like 1911. And at the time I was waiting for my then boyfriend to get home from a concert and he was supposed to be home at like midnight. Doesn't come home. It's like 12:30, then it's 1, then it's 2. And I'm like getting really worried that he got in a car accident. He's not answering his phone. And just, I'm getting really upset and I'm sitting on the couch in the living room and I'm just overwhelmed with worry, right? And then I physically feel like my ear, I can feel like breath on my ear and it says, whisper in my ear. And I'm sitting there alone and I said, if you are not Jesus Christ, get away from me. And the voice went away. But then I've had, in that house, there's something that would run around. I don't know if it's physically running right. I don't know how this works, but banging on the walls on every side of the house when I'm home by myself. Oh man, I was so happy when I moved out of there. I don't know what happened in that house before I moved in. I don't want to know. And I ain't never going back to that place. It was so creepy.
Wow.
But I mean, just to, you know, when someone's near you and they're talking, like whispering in your ear, like I could feel the breath and then the word whisper. Oh, it still creeps me out.
I've heard something like that. My butt wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. That would because you know, you never know what you're going to let in when you start opening up your little beacon of light.
Yeah, and it's like my energy was so low. I was so upset. It's like I think I got myself down to the point where I was so low that I was at the same level as some of these creepy things, enough where they could come in and actually like do that. Because usually I'd be at a different level where maybe they can't even touch me or maybe they can't even whisper in my ear and creep me out. You know what I mean? And luckily I haven't had anything like that happen again. But man, went away quick.
I do think that was a good point about where your state of mind was, or your
Yeah.
heart or your mind, because
Mhm.
I feel like that is a lot. Like if you're sad and you're mad and you're hurt, and then you're just going to your little dark place.
Yeah.
Well, that I feel though that's what you gravitate toward. What gravitates towards you, right?
What are you attracting with that? Yeah.
Right. But sometimes you go into those moods or those feelings, and we'll go right back to them being empathic or feeling, and it's other people's stuff, and you don't know how to dispel it. It's just repetitive in my head. It's just repetitive. I think that was a very good example of how something like that could happen.
Yeah. Just don't let you get yourself that upset that far in the dark.
Right.
Number 4, you have ringing in your ears, which we've talked about before. And I have had tinnitus in the past, so I do know that can be part of it. But I also get the very clear ringing in my ears, which is not the same as the tinnitus that I've had. And I think you definitely have that too.
I get ringing, but I get high frequencies, and I hear things that most people don't. Like, sometimes I think when my kids, I would say something like, "Don't talk to me like that," or Taryn or Jeffrey or whatever, and they would say, "I didn't even say anything," and I said, "Well, they were, right?
Didn't even
They
say.
were, but I don't know how." But high frequencies, I have to sleep with a fan on because I hear babies crying, or I hear music. But I play with my ears. Like if this left ear it's like when you have water in your ear from swimming, like swimmer's ear, it whooshes, it goes. That's this. And then I used to, for a long time, I went to the doctors. I went to the ear doctors. They put me in a soundproof machine. They're like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. And then I was in a soundproof machine, and I said, did a semi just go by? Did the water just happen? And they said, how did you even hear that? So then, right? And then on the right ear, when I started to play, when my right ear does it, I have figured out that it's a different type of whooshing. It's like a heartbeat almost, and that's my family and friends, and the left side seems to be my guides, my peeps, my maybe my higher self or whatever. And when it happens, and sometimes they just stop, like you ever go deaf tone, like just everything just went silent. And then I think, oh, okay, I'm listening. Or what was I doing? You have to be mindful to your body on how you feel these things. It's not just always tinnitus, but we don't want to rule it out. But I know in my personal life that these things happen this way for me.
Right. And mine is, for example, I've been getting way more on my right side lately. Usually it's always my left, but my right side. And have you ever fainted or like have I used to faint a lot. Thank God I don't anymore, but my ears would go like no sound and then a high pitch frequency. And then I would faint. Well, anyways, that's what happens to me with my ear. It basically kind of all the sound disappears and then it goes boom, like this really high pitched sound. And I've noticed on my right ear, it's more intense than my left side. Like it's so high pitched. Like I was listening to music while I was driving. I had to turn the music down. I couldn't even hear it. And I was like, whoa. And that's in the past 3 days, I've got my right ear ringing and it's not tinnitus because it's not, for me, at least my tinnitus would be continual at night and not during the day, but just at night. And it's not happening like that, but just every now and then during the day. And it's like, whoa, maybe my family members are talking to me more. But yeah, figuring out, what am I doing? Do they have a message for me?
Or just kind of, what were you listening to?
Yeah, that's true.
Which is your next one.
Yeah, you get clear messages through music. And I 1,000% get so many messages through music to the point where I've turned the music off. After my sister died, every time I turned the music on, it was there were songs I've never even heard of, that because I was using Pandora at the time and the song came on from an artist I've never heard. It's called Yes, I Am Alive.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And it would just play. And actually the first time that played, I drove to my mom's house and I was picking up my mom and my sister's kids. We got in the car and the song comes on. Yes, I am alive. Yes, I am alive. And it's like, she was so clear with the music.
Mm-hmm.
And like just other artists I'd never heard of, like one that came on called Soul Sister. And it's like,
Oh, I know that song.
the words like, this grief you're going through, what can I tell you, blah, blah, blah. But it just speaks so directly to me, so powerfully, that I would just cry every time I drove. So I'm like, sister, please stop. Like, I need a break. And then I actually had a reading, and the person who was giving me the reading said, oh, your sister says that she plays you music and it's her. And I said, yeah, I do know it's her. So that's definitely a way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be in bed sleeping and I have to sleep with the fan on. Otherwise, I hear babies. Like I said, I hear everything.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Les is over there sleeping and I'm sleeping and I hear this ungodly music. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of creepy to me. And I know it's not creepy to most, especially to my husband. But I will say, wake up, wake up, wake up. Do you know the words blah, 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 blah? And it's like really kind of satanic stuff or whatever. And he's like, oh, that's Megadeth. And I say, who? And then, or he'll tell me that's Black Sabbath,
Oh my
I
God.
was just like, okay, what happens? Why is it bloody or something? And he goes, how do you know this? And I said, it's in my head. And I said, like, the words are in my head. And he turns around, his best friend, Curtis, that was him, that they used to listen to that going down the road all the time. And I'm thinking, I think it's was a joke for me, to be honest, because I can't stand that kind of music, right? It's just like, and so but it's what he loves and it's what they loved. And so since Les can't hear it, apparently I needed to.
Curtis is like, hey, let me give you a bedtime treat.
Right. And I'm like, oh my God, just go away.
That's so funny.
Those are hearing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I talked about this before. When I lay in bed, I get to that spot of between awake and asleep, and I'll be aware of it for probably a short amount of time, but I've heard music so loud. It's like somebody just like the volume's already way up, and then like someone hits a switch and the music is blasting in my head. And I'll actually like go, whoa, okay, I'm awake again. I'm not falling asleep. Or I'll hear people speaking foreign languages and I can like guess at what they are, but I don't know. Heard all kinds of different languages like as I'm falling asleep, and I'm like, am I going through like different realms as I fall asleep in different places, or are they here like in another dimension and I'm just accessing that? I don't know, but it's such a small amount of time because then I'll fall asleep, but I'll remember when I wake up. And I actually heard a conversation too between a mom and a son, and I know it's not something I made up in my head because it's things I would never even think. It's not even the way I would talk. And so, but it's only in that small period of time between wakefulness and sleep. And so for anybody out there, like, if you just lay there and let yourself get really tired, if you're able to hold on to those few seconds before you fall asleep and just be aware and try and listen, man, you can hear so many things. It's just crazy.
You would have to ask yourself, like you probably did, why am I hearing it in another voice? Why am I hearing a mom's conversation and a son's conversation? And I would say that you need to write everything down. I don't know how many times in the last few years I have told you to write down everything. I don't think you're listening. But anybody who is, please write down your dreams, your weird stuff. The mom said this, the child said this. And, I used to hear things or see things in my dreams, and they were things, planes going down, car accidents, all these weird things, drowning, At one time I was being pulled into a swimming pool by my ponytail, which I have never had a ponytail, I don't think, and pulled in by a whale. And it was right after that, there was a trainer got pulled into the pool in the well, I think maybe Florida or whatever, wherever it was.
Interesting.
I wrote it down. So then you argue about, why did I see that? Why did I hear this? Right? And what point does it have for me? Well, it does, because it's validation that you're getting. Just because you can't prevent it from happening, that's not your job. That path has laid out, right?
Yeah.
So, to some degree. And so now you get to go back to your book and you get to say, hey, I have, that's your validation, your personal own book that says this. Not to mention, it might be part of signs or symbols.
Yeah, that's true. Come up with my own language of how I interpret things from spirit, so I know moving forward, like what this certain thing means next time I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have my own little dictionary of those. I got tired of writing them down.
Good. And then I was going to say number 6 is having aha moments or inspiration. You actually talked about that, I think, on number 1, just having like something strike you where you suddenly just have information in your head. Maybe it is just words, not spoken, but just like a phrase or something that you have and you're like, wow, I don't know where that came from. That could also be some type of clairaudience.
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
Yeah.
Especially if you're responding like, oh, good. Go do that right now. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe you have some of these and you don't realize it.
What if
Maybe you
can't find my keys and all of a sudden, bam, as fast as it goes, you go, oh, did you check your coat pocket? Well, maybe that's where it is, right, on the normal time. But they didn't wear a coat or something, but then they were in the coat pocket. That's kind of like something popped into your head. I like that.
Right. Or like, oh, well, let me go look for my socks, which have nothing to do with what you're looking for. And then they're right near your socks or something. You're like, oh, that's wonderful.
Wow, that's a good one. Yep.
Yeah.
I never looked there.
Yeah, exactly. And I always think of that. I heard this somewhere, like when something like that happens, say you're in a hurry and you leave the house and you get in the car and all of a sudden you go, oh my God, I forgot my debit card. That is love. That is love, because that is someone reminding you, putting in your head, hey, honey, you forgot something or whatever. And you being able to go in and get whatever you need and then go on your way. And now whatever you needed to do isn't ruined. And so when you have these little moments of inspiration or information or remembering, just remember someone probably helped you with that. And so think of those moments as love, someone looking out for you or just helping you with your day, and that you're probably not alone during the day. You have a whole array of people who love you and who are with you and following you around. And even if you don't feel supported or you don't feel like you got what it takes, you're not alone. And so just remember that even that tiny thing, that's love.
That's love to help me spend my money. Don't forget the debit card.
Yeah, whatever it is, So then we want to talk about how you can practice clairaudience, because like anything else, we've always said it's a muscle that you can practice, and this is something you can do and become more in tune with. So, Terri kind of mentioned it earlier. The first one, I would say find somewhere quiet to just go and listen. And she had mentioned like going out in nature and listening to birds or listening to anything in nature. There's so many sounds, the sound of water running, and just try to sit there quietly and identify the sounds, just actively listening.
Yeah. Or putting your head under the water in the bathtub.
Yeah. So we could say number 2 is, this is an activity I never heard of. Terri just mentioned it today. You want to tell them what you do?
With the bathtub water? Oh, yeah. So I go in the bathtub, nice bubble bath, salt, Epsom salt, lavender, whatever. And when no one's home, I like to do it when no one's home. Good luck with the cats, but okay. And I just go in the water with my face out, but my ears in the water, and I just lay as still as I can. And it's almost like I focus on just the water itself, and then you can hear things or find the silent place. I really find a silence place right there. I
Mhm.
do like that one.
Nice.
You just breathe through it, just random. Sometimes I'll ask a question and then
Yeah.
just there to see if I get an answer. And if I don't, there's always tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that. Don't put time limits on this stuff.
No,
Um,
I like to
and then
say
number,
not built in a day.
yeah, and like I would say spirit's time isn't the same as our time, like everything doesn't happen like, hey, I want something in 5 minutes. I don't believe unless I get it in 5 minutes. So just kidding. And then number 3 would be try and meditate to quiet your mind, focusing on listening to your own breath as just something active to listen to. And in that listening and restful place to put an intention out that you want to get some kind of either validation or message or something, whether it is through music, maybe something a friend says to you that you go like, whoa, that's exactly what I needed to hear, or something you see on TV, like any kind of communication, just simply in putting it out there that you're open to that for your highest good. If you want to feel safe, always add that on to what you're saying for my highest good. That way you're not receiving like some creepy message, like people whispering in your ears. So be in a good mind state, you know what I mean? But those are some ways to practice. And a lot of them deal with quieting your mind. So if that's really hard for you, do start with trying to ground yourself first, or doing maybe even a mundane activity or listening to something that slightly takes your focus off your head and the thoughts in your head.
My aha moments or my hearing when I do want to practice is my own personal thing. Oh, here goes my throat. My allergies, gotta love it. Is I love to do puzzles. So
Mm,
if nobody's home and I'm doing a puzzle, I won't play the TV and won't play the radio, and I'm just doing the puzzle. And that way I'm just listening. I'm just listening. And that to me is like a multitask for me.
mhm.
It's like if multitasking is a really thing, right? But if I'm doing something else, then something else comes in.
Right. Because it's like you're kind of open to it because you're just have a little bit of focus on something else. And then it's like you're available and you're not consuming anything. You're not consuming a sound, a TV show, a conversation. There's nothing to distract you in that way.
Sometimes I wonder, well, why can't I hear, see, smell, do all this better than I'm doing? And I think I'm doing it. It's just a lack of confidence in what I'm doing. But
Mm.
I think that if they just popped in and gave it to me, it wouldn't be as valuable as it was to go through the path or the lessons to get there.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, because there's like some self-discipline that's involved, which is good for all of us. In learning how to be in that space of quieting your mind and learning what helps you get there. Like it's all a journey, and I think it all has a purpose. And so I think that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else do we want to talk about?
Well, when it comes to the clairaudient, I think I'm good. The meditation, I think, is probably the key exercise. It's not one that I think that we could practice on here, except for just giving it 5 minutes of practice, 10 minutes of practice. I think that a lot of different mediums would agree that you would want to build up an energy place. Like I do really good meditating in this chair. This is my husband's chair.
Oh, I see.
I spend a lot of time in this chair meditating. So the same place, like if you were in a development circle, hey, look at me remember words. You
Good
would
job.
be in the same
Chair. We would sit in the same chair.
guy, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Because you want to build that up. It's also like if you went to someone's house or an amusement, how you say, a museum, and then you sat on something that belonged to somebody, right?
Like the
Then,
energy accumulates in that spot.
right, because it's energy. It energy stays,
Okay.
you know.
I think that's a good point. I did not think about that. And since I've moved to the house I live in, I don't have a special spot that I sit in to relax or meditate. I just haven't found my spot. Outside was a spot, but during times like this,
Right.
you know, when it's cold and stuff, I don't really want to go sit outside.
When I do readings, I go to only 2 spots. I do have a couch in my studio, and there's one corner. I get the couch would probably be more comfortable for people, but people come and go in so much. I want it to be my energy in that couch. So I have a corner of that couch. It depends on, and if I'm doing a group or doing more than a person, I have another chair I sit in. So there's only 2 spots in that place. And if I try to alter it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
I see.
But it took a while.
Interesting.
Yeah, it took a while.
Oh, and I think you also
like geometry. It's almost kind of feeling like the energy, like if you were holding on to, we were talking about psychometry and holding, and last week I think we talked about it, maybe, I don't know. But it's almost like that. Everything is energy.
Yeah. And so putting your energy into those spots, and when you go back to use it again, you feel that peacefulness that you have or whatever you left there. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to try and find my spot.
Yeah, find your
I need
spot.
a spot. Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, what?
Everybody.
I was just going to remind you to talk about thinking about doing a reflection board class. Is that what we're calling it? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. Vision board, soul collage. I don't care what you want to call it. It's all the same thing of putting our, I'm saying reflection because we went into the new year and we were saying goodbye, letting go, see you laters, whatever you're doing to the stuff that you didn't want to bring into this year. And since we're slowly going into it, I did say on our New Year's Eve post that I would look into a place. I am in Arlington, Washington. So I did look into a place, and it holds more people than I thought. Not that I would do that many, but I have put on my Medium page on Facebook, only there, a post last night. And anybody who is in, Stanwood, Cedro, in the area, I mean, I don't buy into
Skagit County, Snohomish County.
Perfect. Yes. That if I have enough people wanting to do it, then I would look out to doing that. And what I put down was 5x7 or 4x6 cards. I said poster or cards. I don't want to do a poster, but I want to do one that is reflecting how you see your life right now. And then how would you like to see your life? So when and if that happens, I have to get the date far enough in advance.
Yeah, so if you are interested in that, please leave a comment so we can gauge if enough people would want to do it. And then if we have enough engagement, then it's something we can do. And if you don't want to, that's fine. And we will do something different at some point.
Right. We just need to have pillars of what people want to do. And by sharing it or liking it or whatever, ask a friend, do they want to come or whatever. Play the when it was held here and on my property, because I had 10 or 12 I could do here. I always played on the TV The Secret. And some people have never seen it. I am a fan of The Secret. You might want to put that little thing. Someone needs to go watch that Secret. No matter what we're studying, go watch The Secret. Real quick on the reason why we've decided to run this in is also Janet Hickox was telling me, that's the living astrology lady that's going to join us in a couple of weeks. And she was saying that the planets and the system and the stars are not quite aligned to, what did I say? Flip a switch. We're not there yet. So
to let everything go real easy.
Right. So it's just a process of getting your ducks in a row of what you're going to do. So look forward to her. And we've got a time set up to do the podcast.
That'll be the January 20th show that she'll be on.
That's right.
I think she'll look at the calendar. I think so. Yeah.
You need to her out. She's a wealth of information when it comes to these planets. I know a couple of astrologers, but she's really mixes a lot of modalities in there that just feed off of each other. I'm excited about this.
I am too. I'm really excited to have a guest and especially her. And I'll leave her info. You guys can check her out, see who's going to be on the show so you can get excited like we are.
Yeah, I am. I'm always excited to talk to Janet.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered everything.
We did.
Thank you, everybody. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for going on this journey with us.
Thank you. Happy New Year as well, because I forgot to tell everybody Happy New Year. And as always, from my heart to yours, I love you.
Yeah.